Welcome to Base and Boundaries podcast. I'm your host, Amy G, and this is your one-stop shop for all things mental health and music.
Hello and good evening. It is Bank Holiday Monday, and I have been so excited to get this podcast done today because I've got so much to catch up with you on. Thank you all, first things first, so much for listening, sharing, liking. The feedback has been so overwhelming. And I am actually sat here at 9:20 in the evening on a Monday night in my pajamas with my hair. I don't even know what's going on with it at the minute, but and it's that's sort of time where life has been so full on, so I don't even have a hot minute to do nothing. It's been a very busy time. However, I wanted to talk today about stress and mental health and how there has just been so much that I've been sat in fight or flight mode for a hot minute, literally a hot minute. And as I'm now coming out of that period in my life, I wanted to share with you what's helped me because I have CBT therapy on a Friday. And my therapist encourages me, because I'm qualified in CBT, to use the tactics that I've learned myself to then help myself. And it really helps. So I'm going to show you some of the ways today that can really help you on your journey. So my microphones also, if you're watching this on especially on YouTube and not like in your car or whatever, my microphone's abnormally high up today because I'm in my living room. I'm not actually in my usual office because I decided to just change it up a little bit because I feel this is probably one of the safest spaces in my house, and I just wanted to change it up a bit. So anyways, I'm going to stop waffling and show you how I did it. So when my best friend's husband went into hospital, we went into panic mode. We went into instant sort of fight or flight mode. We had so much that was going on. And I've been going to and from the hospital. He's recovering, by the way. He's doing amazing. And going to and from the hospital caused a lot of stress for my best friend, but also for me as well, because I'm trying to be strong for her, but it was having an impact on me. I was having some issues with a family member that was going through a really hard time with their mental health, depression, anxiety. So I'm trying to be there for them. I then had, like, in the last week, it was like a light above my head. That's why it looks like I've got heaven shining on my head. I had my sort of my probation meeting at work. So that's been weighing heavily on my head. So a lot of stresses have been going on this sort of last 1 to 2 weeks. And it's gotten so stressful that I just kept myself busy and started doing things like, decorating the house and throwing myself into my job, my day job, and not having much time for myself and also my self-employment endeavors. For instance, for me, I am wanting to do this as a full-time thing. I've realized, I've recognized that I want to interview people. I want to potentially go down this as a career path. I don't know. But right in the beginning stages of this, I didn't think it'd even get to where it is now. And so when you manifest something, you've already got it. That's the way that I've started looking at things. Like, I've already got something that I've worked towards. So like tomorrow, I'm going to a networking event tomorrow evening. So I get to meet other business owners in the area. I get to talk about what I do. I needed a job title. I didn't know what to call me because I'm a brand. And that was something so I have a guest coming on in a couple of weeks. And his name's Tim, and he's like a spiritual guru. He's amazing. I call him the magical mystery Tim, but because his name's Timothy, I call him Moth. So magical, mystical Moth. And he's coming on in a couple of weeks. And he told me that when you are in the room, so like when you're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you're producing content, you become a brand. So Amy G is a brand. Yeah. And so I didn't have time to do. Oh, that was weird. My clock behind me just went, hi. Look at that. Hey. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do anything. That clock is also, I didn't have time to breathe. And so going to these networking events is going to start getting me back out there. I've also partnered with an organization for skincare, makeup. I can't wait to announce it. It's a process. I'm very impatient, so I like things done yesterday, but I am also aware that these things take time. But actually, with it being bank holiday, it's still a working day for me. Like today, I've done errands for my best friend. Then this afternoon I've had her girls, so she, could go back up to the hospital. I've done a lot today, but then like now, say it's coming on for 9:30 at night. I also interviewed somebody who's coming out on Thursday, who's a DJ who produces drum and bass, and he's incredible, such a sweetheart to talk to. And by doing all of these things, I've then gone, I need to prioritize a bit for me. So the number one key for all of this is, number one, you need to prioritize yourself. Find 10 to 15 minutes a day for yourself. Now, I write in a diary every single day. I've not done it for 4 days. So now I'm going to have to write an essay. And I get angry at myself when I forget to write in that, because I don't like skipping a day. I hate doing that. So I'm now angry at myself that I've done that. But life has been difficult. Life has been happening. So you kind of also, then the next point is to be gentle with yourself. You can't go 100 mile an hour all the time, because you will burn out. And I'm testament of that, lovely. I've burnt out so much recently that it's gotten to a point where I've had to start prioritizing self-care. 10 to 15 minutes. Just if you don't even have that, start at 5 minutes. What can you do? And I don't mean doom scrolling on your phone. I don't mean that. Like, be present. So that could look like you're having your dinner or your lunch or your breakfast, and you're really being mindful of what you're eating. Like, for instance, I know in a little while I'm going to have my dinner because I forgot and I need to eat. So I'm going to have probably burger, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to chew it thoroughly. I'm going to really enjoy it. I'm not going to be eating and doom scrolling or eating and watching the TV. I want to be really present in that moment. And then a little bit of self-care for me. I prepare for the week. So I know I'm networking tomorrow. So what's Amy going to be doing tonight? Well, Amy got all of her business cards. Amy made sure her work phone was charged. Amy made sure that her portfolio was ready to go, because when you go to these events, you need to showcase who you are, darling. But you know what I did do? And this is a little side note. I was feeling quite ballsy. And I think I'm going to have that in the title, I think, of the podcast. Bassy and Ballsy or something like that, because I had the balls to message a producer who does all these kind of big events, big festivals, shows. He's also a DJ himself. I was like, when I come to one of your events in the summer, can I come and actually interview your the artists that are going to be there? And that's very ballsy of me, because you might not even read it. But I thought to myself, who cares? Like, I'm confident enough in my craft. I know what I'm doing. Like, this is easy for me. Like, using my voice is easy. I said this on my Insta earlier, that my dad, when my dad was alive, he was like I said, an incredible human being. And when my dad was alive, he had this insane ability to be able to just talk and be able to just like say it how it is, And so I was taught to be like that. But then my mom was very reserved. She was very feisty, which she still is, but she would be a lot more reserved. And so you've got to be careful what you say. Don't swear in public. Don't do this in public. Whereas I'm like the total polar opposite of my mom. There's nothing wrong with the way that she is. That's just who she is. But that's what I'm saying is, I have this insatiable ability to say how it is, but I don't do it where I go out of my way to hurt people, that kind of thing. But this is the thing. You need to, in this moment in time when you are doing some form of self-care, whether that's, like I said, organizing, having a bath, having a glass of something before, as you're winding down to watch the TV, or in my case at the moment is doing podcasts is a form of self-care for me, because I get to speak what's going on in this crazy mind of mine. And and it helps my mental health by being able to share those inner thoughts, but also to talk to people on a Thursday that they just get it, they just get it. And so with that being said, let's say the next thing is do something that you love. And that's not necessarily in those 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, self-care is important, but making sure that you're doing something that you enjoy doing. I like my day job, and I do, but I am so passionate about this right now. I am so invested because I'm investing in myself. And I advise that you do the same. Like, tell me in the comments, what do you invest your time to? Like, what do you enjoy doing that makes you realize that that's a form of self-care? Like, I would love to know what your thoughts are with that. Another thing as well would be to make sure that you don't slip into old habits. Like, I can tell you that right now, as I used to smoke years ago, cigarettes. I've not smoked for years, but alcohol at one point, was even a coping strategy. But then I became a binge eater, and now I'm not anymore. I give myself permission to enjoy my food, but 90% of the time I eat very well. And so I've lost weight, and, I'm feeling really good about that. I prioritize my health over, I can tell you now, I could go to a shop a year ago. You'd have gone to a shop and I would have bought, like the bag of Maltesers, probably about that big. They would have been gone in minutes, and it wouldn't have been enough. And I would have to keep going on and on and on. Now, I don't look at them. I'm not interested. I primarily eat very low carb. I do have carbs. I'm not saying that I've excluded them out of my diet. Like, this evening, I'll probably have a big burger and enjoy it and just love it. But tomorrow I do a lot of fasting, and, so that's a form of self-care as well. So when you are stressed, your cortisol levels are going to go through the absolute ceiling. You're going to go into fight or flight mode. I've been in fight or flight for the last couple of weeks, and I've not felt really myself. So you have to find ways to cope, but they're positive ways. And even if it's just one thing for now, that's okay. You have to go at your own pace. And that's why I do life coaching, because it's not a one size fits all persona with life coaching. Like, people think that, I mean, I went to a networking event not too long ago, and this woman was like, oh, I don't like the word coaching. It sounds corny and cheesy. And I was a bit like, is it though? Because you're helping somebody be a better version of themselves. And that's what I want for everybody, to be the best version of themselves. There's no jealousy. There's no animosity. There's no one better than anybody else. And I have been around people in business, in networking, in my day job, that are jealous. I am in limbo at the moment with the little charity that I have. And I've had people try and ruin that for me over the years. They see something that I have and want it, and then they try and sabotage it. And it's like, I genuinely just want the best for people. And I hope other people feel like that too. Like, don't feel like someone's better than you, because then that's when jealousy becomes ugly. See my previous podcast about jealousy. But ultimately, stressing in a job, you're still going to get paid the same. Stressing in life, you can't control being stressed. It just happens. Your body knows, it's very clever. It knows how to respond to that. But it's what you do with that cortisol after. It's what you do with that stress. I know people, they vape, they do cigarettes, they do alcohol, they do effectively unhealthy coping strategies. Where can you tweak that? And it's not, like I said, each to their own. But I know that if I go down those coping strategies again, I'm going to undo a lot of hard work that I've put into myself to be a better person. What I did yesterday? I've not had a good relationship with someone off and on for years, but, they have to be a part of my life. And I said sorry for my mistakes. I didn't get an apology off them. They've really hurt me over the years. but I've allowed myself to forgive them without an apology. But I actually said, look, I'm sorry if I ever treated you like crap over the years. And that for me is massive, because it takes a lot. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? When you are improving yourself, the little wins along the way, they build up to a bigger picture. And this is what, I tell people in my immediate family, you need to find the little wins, because the little wins make the bigger wins, right? And there's nothing wrong with being ballsy sometimes. There's nothing wrong with being confident in your craft. There's nothing wrong with going, I work in an office, I'm amazing at IT, and there's nothing wrong with celebrating yourself, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. And so if you're going to take anything from this podcast today, just know that, stress is something that I wish we could avoid, but we can't. We can't avoid aging. That's why I don't have Botox. It's a completely natural forehead and completely natural. I don't have any work done. This is me as I am. Yeah. The only thing I do is potentially might dye my grays a little bit, but it's all right. One day I'll accept them. But I wear different hair. I experiment. I put different nail varnish on, although I really need to redo my nails. But again, I haven't had time. If things like driving, I love driving. It's such a therapy for me. Drum and bass and driving with my coffee and just doing the mundane stuff, like going to the office, like being stuck in traffic. People are just like at the steering wheel, and I'm like, they were on about actually AI being installed into cars, and if your heart rate's going a little bit too quick, your car will just cease to function. I'm like, well, I'd be screwed then, because drum and bass gives me a rush and I love it, but it also helps me concentrate. So what if we're going to get to a point now where AI's like, your bassy drum and bass is too bassy, so therefore, you can't listen to that anymore. Could you imagine? Crazy times, honestly. But like I say, I just wanted to do Tuesday's podcast as a way to say that, look, we're all going to get stressed. There's going to be those times where you're not going to have time to breathe. You're not going to have time to do these things that you want to do in life, because things just happen. Life gets in the way. Full moons happen. Life just happens. But just find, even if it's just 5 minutes of your day, just to chill, just to do nothing, not doom scrolling, not, festering on problems, just breathe. And that was the final point, breathe. So if I do slow breathing techniques, I stop panicking. It's one of those really weird things, but there's one technique that I use and it works. I'm going to share it with you. So, and that's it. A sigh. But I imagine you're breathing in positivity and you're breathing out the crap, basically. So, and so it is. So thank you so, so much for watching and listening, whatever you're doing. But let me know in the comments, how can you find time for you this week? What do you enjoy doing? And stay tuned for Thursday's episode, because I'm interviewing Fraction, who is a DJ that is producer of drum and bass, and he is incredible, and he's such a wonderful, wonderful man to talk to. So until Thursday, guys, thank you so much. You're amazing. Take care. Thank you so much for listening, guys. You can find my podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, and don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. See you next time.